Today's subject is a movie called Hangman, which despite the 6% on Rotten Tomatoes and the straight-to-VOD release platform, was actually not the dumbest serial killer movie to be released in 2017. This movie stars Al Pacino as a retired homicide detective who is called back into action when Detective Carl Urban finds their badge numbers at the scene of a violent murder via hanging. When new murders start piling up on a daily basis using the same hang the victim gimmick, Pacino and Urban need to track down the killer before time runs out. Alright, so this was a little better than I was expecting, but that isn't to say it's a pleasant surprise by any means. But it wasn't excruciating, and is definitely better than 88 Minutes, which it has a lot in common with, actually, if you've seen both films. Not the least of which is Pacino's hair, which is definitely the most far-fetched aspect of both films. Hangman, unfortunately, wasn't very unique, though, and it didn't make sense a lot of the time. I think that the Hangman gimmick, the fact that the killer is playing a game of Hangman with the detectives, and the word that they'll spell at the end will be a shocking reveal. Yeah, I thought that whole thing was pretty wasted. I know why the killer does this. It made sense why he had this gimmick, unlike the snowman. Why do you draw retarded snowmen? What is the point? But it didn't really affect the outcome of the events of the movie. Pacino and Urban never try and guess what the word is, and the breadcrumb trail that the killer leaves for these guys to come and find him doesn't connect to the hidden word. You guys ever see that movie, The Machinist, where Christian Bale was actually really desperate to figure the hangman word out on his fridge? And even made a wrong guess at one point. That's how you tie in a hangman game into a mystery plot. It seems like an afterthought here. Another thing that bothered me is that Pacino and Urban not only weren't trying to guess the word, they weren't even really trying to catch the killer. They weren't putting in much effort into it. They have 3 close calls where the guy slips away and they barely put any effort to try and catch him. There's an extended chase scene at the beginning of the film where Carl Urban chases after this woman, who at the time was only a suspect. And the whole thing is like that Mission Impossible 3 running scene. Just complete maximum Tom Cruise-like effort on Urban's part to chasing after this woman who's a suspect. But there's other scenes in which the killer is literally escaping the crime scene, caught red-handed, and Urban just takes a few jogging steps and gives up. Like, dude, come on, earn that taxpayer salary. And this next part will seem like a nitpick, but trust me, it isn't. I couldn't deal with the accents in this thing. Pacino and Urban both have this kind of deep South New Orleans type accent, and they both failed at worse than Russell Crowe in Winter's Tale. Okay, I gotta stop it with these comparisons to other movies. I've always thought that was the lowest form of film criticism. Just like Justice League is the worst form of filmmaking. Anyway, Urban doesn't try at all with the accent, completely half-hearted. Pacino throws himself in completely, and he also fails. It's terrible. These two are normally really good actors, but they aren't bad otherwise in this. It's just that these accents were such a bad decision. And the big reveal at the end was really lame in my opinion. Like the reason why the killer ropes Pacino into this whole thing, well, no pun intended, is incredibly weak. Alright, spoilers now. Okay, he's mad at Pacino for evicting him and his father from their home. And just to be clear here, Pacino's not the landlord. He's just the cop enforcing the eviction notice, and not showing any sympathy when his dad hangs himself upon hearing the news. Essentially, he's mad that Pacino didn't show sympathy when he showed up and discovered the dad hanging there. You'd think Mr. Hangman would go after the landlord for throwing them out, not Pacino, who was just paid to be there and didn't really have much of a hand in his father's suicide. It's really a stretch. Overall, I give Hangman a 4 out of 10. I found it watchable, but it was nevertheless pretty half-hearted and dull. In terms of comparable movies, it's better than The Snowman, better than 88 Minutes, worse than Solaris, which is actually sporadically compelling, and a lot worse than Seven. If it's on Netflix, maybe watch it if you've just accepted the fact that you are destined to stream mediocre films in a semi-comatose state for the rest of your pathetic life. Wait, no. Oh, why watch mediocre movies just because they're on a streaming service you already pay for? No, you're not out of any extra money, but you lose something more valuable there. You lose your time. You lose 98 minutes watching Hangman that you could have spent taking a walk or reading a book or volunteering or learning a new skill or playing with your dog or spending time with people who care about you, you know? I mean, you could even use that time to watch a good movie if you want. A movie with something to say. A movie that'll make you feel something. No, I'm done using the, well, okay, watch it if it's on Netflix week quasi recommendation. No. Life is beautiful. Life is precious. Go and make the most of it. And never take it for granted by watching Hangman. Alright, take care, you guys. I'll see you later.